Hi guys, welcome back to season 2, episode 2 of Girl Next Door podcast. I hope you've all had a great week. I have had the most surreal week ever, apart from being really ill, so excuse that. I've got a really bad cold, flu. I don't know what is happening here, but it has limited me from doing running, from doing handstands, to doing basically any form of exercise. Like on my commute to work, normally I'm going up them stairs. Like there is a lot of stairs, and normally on the escalator, sorry, I'm the one who just, walks up them because I'm like, you know what, like, get them steps in for the day. It's just a little bit of extra woohoo feeling, if you kind of know what I mean. I was doing that and I just couldn't do that. And so I knew something was up when I just really was struggling for breath when I was going up these stairs. And I was like, okay, something might be wrong. And then that evening, I tried to go on a 3K run. I put it on my Instagram, but that was not working. I set myself just a little tiny 3K, bearing in mind the previous, week I was doing like 8K, like, and not finding that hard. So 3K, I was like, easy, got it in the bag. What? Tell me why that was the hardest run of my life. Like, I was dying. I was counting down the minutes as soon as I started. And I was like, shit, I've just lost all progress. And I'm just so silly. Like, why did I instantly go to that? Because I literally was running, the best I've ever ran like the previous week. And obviously that's not all going to go down the drain just from, having a day off. So I don't know why my mind went to, oh my God, I'm going to lose all progress. But I was like, right, okay, I don't know why that was so hard. And then obviously I was getting out of breath going up the stairs. And I was like, well, what is up with me? And anyway, the next couple of days, this horrendous like flu came on, and I feel like now I'm starting to come, like, I'm turning the corner basically. I'm feeling better, but I feel like you can still hear it in my voice. I can feel it, and it's not a nice feeling. So I've basically taken this whole week off, and it's been difficult, I can't lie. I felt rather sad in a way because I'm in my running era. I'm a running girl now. I'm really enjoying it because I'm training to get better at netball and to try a different kind of hobby, because I love netball and I love the gym, but just I like to switch things up. So running was my new thing, and that now that I'm not kind of doing it, I'm just a bit sad. It helps my mental health as well. Um, so like really like having to take serious rest because I'm ill has not been great, but it was needed. So, and it's important to listen to your body, guys. If you are ill or you're feeling something, your body's not tip top form, just take a break, because the reality is that you're more likely to do yourself harm or make it worse, you pushing yourself further along down the line, it carrying on a bit like longer. Don't kind of do what I did and just like think, oh, just carry on. Don't, just from the beginning, just take a step back and be like, you know what, this could be a 3-day cold or like a 5-10 day cold. What would you rather? Yeah. So just take the break. Nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna happen. Your body needs the rest, so let it rest. Anyway, this is taken a bit of a ramble at the beginning, but it's okay. We will go with it. Like I was saying, so my week is going, as has been, a bit, slow with anything to do with like kind of exercise or anything like that, and that's fine. Some weeks are like that. But the exciting parts of my week were, I told you guys about my new like deal with Misfits and how I am their new brand ambassador, and I can't quite believe it. When I got the phone call to say that I am like a brand ambassador for Misfits, I was shaking. I could not believe it. You guys know that I love Misfits. I post them all the time on my socials. I really believe in them as a brand, and they are the best protein bars ever. So if you haven't tried them, go try them. Chocolate caramel is my favourite, and also the wafers are 10 out of 10. They are amazing. So when I got this call, I really really was shocked, excited. And this is the kind of where I want to take this now. So that call, I am still obviously very small in the creative content industry. I have not kind of prioritized it as much as others, only in the sense because I've got a full-time job working at Ralph Lauren that is taking up so much of my time. But this is not an excuse. I'm just saying that right now, the podcast, my Instagram, is not my priority. And that is okay. Okay. We all have different priorities at different times. And my priority at uni was my podcast to a point, because I wasn't working. Obviously, I was working on my degree, but, you know, I felt like I had quite a good grasp on my lectures and everything. So this podcast was my baby. Well, it still is my baby, but I still was putting everything, all my time, energy, everything into my podcast. Whereas now I have slightly tweaked priorities in the sense that because the way I'm making money, the way that I'm excelling in my career is through working at Ralph Lauren as a wholesale assistant. What it is adapting to different changes and opportunities that come into your life. Now, I find it very difficult to adapt and change. Like, I like a solid routine, and once you get me a routine, then I'm great. I know exactly how to kind of work out my time and where to put my priorities. But when it's new, it's all up in the air. I'm still trying to figure out how to do everything and what to do. So this 2 months I've been in London, and it's only a 2-month thing, so it's not a forever thing. I go back to uni, and then that's the end of my contract with Ralph, and then the Misfits starts. So there's no brakes on this engine or this car, whatever. Weird analogy, but we're going to go with it anyway. You know, I'm not stopping, but there's just different priorities. So these 2 months up in the air, it takes me a while to settle into something. So the first month I didn't know how to do anything. It was a new place, new city, new people, new job. And so everything was just very overwhelming, and I didn't know I didn't really know what my priorities were, because I love doing my podcast. For me, it's like a therapy, and I love growing my little accounts and posting. It's how I feel creative, and it makes me happy. So that is a priority in itself. But then again, I'm not making any money from it, and you know, it's a very slow thing to kind of build up because it's not a priority. It's just at this period of time right now, it wasn't. And I'm not ashamed to admit that, because we've all got different things going on. However, this period of time is coming to a close now, and it just so happens that, you know what, I'm starting to wanting to post a bit more. I want to create some more content. I really want to go above and beyond with a podcast. And I was just wondering, I was at work today and I was thinking, why am I so driven right now to podcast, and why am I so, you know, where has this come from? And it's like, well, girl, you finally got a bit more headspace. There is room for you to breathe. You've got your routine, you've got your priorities straight and where they lie. So now you can basically add to the pile a bit more. You know, things are settled down, so you can cope with a bit more, and that's okay. So I'm saying this now, and I'm because this is going to change very soon, because it's my last week at Ralph next week. So when you're listening to this is my last week, and I'm so sad about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's literally going to make me sad. But the last 2 months has flown by. But like I said, I'm finally getting settled into this thing now, and it's going to go back up into the air and, you know, whirl around, and I won't know where my head's at again, which is annoying in a sense because I like consistency. But then again, when you don't know what's coming next, that's also, you know, you're on the right track of you're doing a good thing, because it's really important that you can roll with the changes and take on what life throws at you. So that's what I'm saying to myself, that change is a good thing, and it's keeping me on my toes, ready to kind of deal with all the next stages of life. So going back to the Misfits thing, thank you for the support. Everyone who sent me kind messages when I announced it. I'm very, very excited, and you know, this opportunity is a massive deal for me, because at the beginning of the year I did a vision board, and I did not hold back. all my basically life goal dreams are on this document, and I didn't expect to kind of tick half of the things off on that list or on this vision board, because they are big dreams, goals, whatever you want to call them, aspirations. They were big. Now, is it manifesting? Is it visualizing? Is it kind of, I don't know, some sort of sending out to the universe? I don't know, whatever floats your boat, it can be that. But for me, I just like to kind of put it out there and, don't really look at it for the rest of the year. But then again, I just thought, why am I not going to look at it again? Having a nice reminder will maybe motivate me more. Anyway, so I look back at it, and obviously I can still remember some of the stuff that were on there, because there were some big brands, the goals deep within my heart. So it's not just a flippant thing I'm going to forget. But I can tell you now, I put Misfits on my vision board for the year. That was a huge leap, because at that time I had no podcast, I had no Instagram. Girl Next Door wasn't even a thing in like the January. Well, it was, but it wasn't even launched yet. So having Misfits who knew nothing about me or anything to then suddenly working with them 8 months later is crazy to me. And this is just kind of proof that do not ever hold back your dreams whatsoever. When you do a mood board or vision board for the next month, the next week, the next year, so forth, right? Don't hold back. Grasp every opportunity and dream big, because I would have never, ever, ever thought that I'd be working with Misfits 8 months later. Like, anything is possible. So even if you're listening now and you haven't started a podcast, or you have started a podcast, or you've started a little fitness Instagram, or you're thinking about it, bloody well do it. Go on. Like, who's to stop you being like a Gymshark athlete in the next year? No one. Who would have thought? I never thought that I'd be here right now. It's really important to not let the fear of failing, and I'm doing air quotes here because failing is, I feel like in with things like this, with putting yourself out there, whether that's on Instagram, you're starting up an Instagram, like fitness Instagram, wellness, cooking, whatever your prerogative is, or you're putting yourself out your comfort zone, starting a new job, that term failing, I really just doesn't really sit with me, in the sense that I feel like everything you do is almost leveling you up. Okay, it might have not been right then, but it doesn't mean that you failed, or doesn't mean that, you did it wrong, or maybe just it wasn't the right time, and maybe it wasn't a priority. And the thing is, this right now, a priority also is a term that is very thrown around a lot in the fitness community and kind of Instagram, because it's like, well, actually, I want it to be a priority, but it can't be a priority. If you kind of guys get what I mean. Like, I don't know about you, but sometimes Instagram, it's like, I've got no time for the gym. And it's like, well, is it your priority? Have you made it a priority? Sometimes it can't be a priority. There's other things. And you almost, kind of made to feel a little bit guilty that this thing isn't a priority. So say like Instagram or the podcast, some people can be like, well, it's not a priority. So, you can't blame yourself for not growing that much. And I'm like, well, I would love this to be my priority. If this was, and I hate that the world is, does revolve around money, but it does. And so my priority is going to be something that can, sustain the life that I want to live and get me to go nice places, to get me to eat nice things, to fuel myself, to get me places. That's a priority, so I can actually live my life and do the things. Because if this solely was a priority of mine and I didn't go to work, I couldn't afford any of the equipment. I couldn't afford the house. I couldn't afford, the food I'm doing to keep myself alive, if that makes sense. And this, priority, make it a priority, is so easy for people who actually earn money. And I get that, no one starts off with, bags of time. As in, no one starts off with making money from TikTok or Instagram or whatever. But when you do kind of, it's those late nights, and I get like the hard work that gets you to get those breaks and stuff, and it's it's a relative priority then. But it's okay if it's not a priority in a sense that actually I'm going to take away the term priority because you know, we can have many priorities and like three, four, five, whatever. But priority is like number one. Just because it's not a priority doesn't make it not important. And I felt like that is like a fine, like when I say fine line, the different meanings. So one of my friends reminded me, she was like, yeah, but your podcast isn't a priority right now. And I was thinking, oh my God, how dare you say that? Like, of course it is. Like, I really want to do it. And I didn't say this to her. But she was like, yeah, and that's fine. And I was like, are you putting me down right now? Like, are you telling me that my podcast isn't important? And then I came away and I was thinking, oh. And then I realized that, you know what? She didn't mean it, for one. Like, well, she did mean it, but I was interpreting it in a certain way. I attached the word priority with importance. And I guess it does sound like it really, those words are like closely linked. However, if something's important to you, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a priority. So let's give an example. Okay, so having my sweet treat after my meal is important to me. However, it's not a priority. Say if there's something like a massive situation going on and I really need to do something, it's important to me, that little like, oh, pick me up after a meal at the end. However, it's not a priority because it's not like life or death. It's just not a priority, but it's important, if that makes sense. So it really kind of depends. And there is a fine line between like the words, and I feel like they get thrown around and used as the same word, but they're not. So that's the kind of what I want you guys to understand, is that something can really be important to you, but it might not be a priority. But just because it's not a priority doesn't take the way that it's not important. Whereas when my friend said that it wasn't a priority, I thought, oh, well, clearly she thinks it's not important to me. Like, when actually, in fact, it is very important. It's just there is other things that come before that. Like I was saying, if you've got so many things that are quote unquote priority, they become less of a priority because a priority is something that you prioritize. And that's like number one, that you make sure always happens. And if you've got a list of all the things that you need that are a priority, it's slowly, the term like slips a bit and it's like doesn't become as number one as the term states it is. But it's about what works for you and not feeling guilty that, some things you can't do right now because you've got a lot on your plate. But it doesn't make them any less important, and it doesn't make you a bad person for not being able to do them. You're doing the best you can, so don't stress, because there will be a time where you can do the things that are really important to you. And it's about working with the now and understanding, hey, okay, this might not be the thing that I need to focus on right now. It's something I might want to, but realistically, to make things work, I've just got to put it on pause, or I've got to do less of it. And that is where what I've been feeling these last few weeks and months, is really struggling with the sense that I've had to like admit it to myself that it's not been a priority. But like I said, I thought that meant it, that I didn't care almost. Because that's how we kind of perceive that if it's not a priority, you don't care. That's not true. Are you joking? I fucking love this podcast. It's my baby. But the fact that it's not been a priority, other people have made me, like, when I say other people, Instagram, this whole like attachment with the word has made me feel a bit guilty, thinking, oh shit, I must not really care about it then. Well, actually, that's wrong. I do care about it so much. It's just that right now, well, in the past as well, I've just not been able to, hold, like, my cup has been so full that I had no time for anything else, or no time, no room for anything else. And that is okay. So this is where I'm going to end the podcast, just kind of leaving this with you guys in the sense that, and it will change, like I said, importance, priorities, whatever, whatever you take from this, I hope you kind of get the message that I'm trying to send. I know I've been a bit all over the place here, but okay. So I'm gonna go and record the next one because I've got a lot more things to say. So keep an eye out for that one, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!